Definitely going to be a boring video, and there's going to be road noise, but I never record anything really, so I figured, especially while I'm out in the field, let's record a little bit, and if somebody watches it, cool. If not, I understand it's not very entertaining. Okay, this 1.5 inch PEB, Rainbow PEB valve, wouldn't shut down, wouldn't close. That was really the initial reason why I got called out here. Checked the solenoid first, took the solenoid out, the old one, and actually it came out in pieces, and the spring was broken, so I was like, oh, maybe we'll get lucky and that'll be it. So I put a new solenoid in there. That was not, the solenoid was broken, but that wasn't the reason why the valve wouldn't shut. So I took the top part off and looked in there. There's a crack, which is pretty common on these ones, especially if you over tighten them. There's a crack on the inlet side, and I'll include a picture for that. Okay, so that was the initial problem, so I know I need to replace this valve. But the other problem is, the client said that they noticed that there wasn't any water coming out of here, out of any of this front landscape area. It's like this row of drip here. And also in front of the house, there's some drip. And now I know they're connected. I didn't know that before. So there's this brass valve here, which you could tell originally all the valves are inline valves, which is not super common for residential out here, but this is a big property, and they got these big, big valves. Anyways, they put them underground. So I found this brass valve. So somebody replaced the original valve that was here, that was an inline valve, to this brass anti-siphon valve. Okay. This is how it looked when I tested it. So I tested it the last time I was here, turned the bleed screw, water comes out, but nothing would come on. I was not positive, but I felt like that was definitely going to be the valve for the front sprinkler system, drip system. Water would come out crazy here, but would it, when it wasn't going out to the yard. So I disassembled this. So this is inlet, outlet. So I took this cap off the outlet side, so like the little, usually has a little float in there for the anti-siphon. I turned, and I had the main line off to the system while I was working on it. And I turned the main line on, and water comes shooting out of the outlet side. And that was kind of my guess already, because I don't know why I guessed that really. And then I was like, okay, well, just in case something funky's going on, let me just double check my work. So I set up my camera up here, and I had it pointed over here. I turned the main back on, and water comes shooting out of outlet. So when they did this, when they cut the old one out and they put this new valve in, not only instead of putting it back as a inline valve, they installed it like this. They took it from like 1.5 inches to 1 inch, and which for the drip actually doesn't really matter. But when they did that, they installed it backwards. So the inlet should have been over here, and the outlet would have been there, and it, I guess, would have just worked just fine. But they put it in backwards. The way I kind of verified that, because I just really wanted to double check, or I just went and ran with that. So I got this hose set up to one of the 1/2 inch bubbler lines for the drip system, and I hooked my hose up to it and was feeding water back into the system that way. And it wasn't coming out like a ton, but it was bubbling out of what would normally be the inlet. So I was pretty sure that what happened is they flipped it, they installed it the wrong way. I was kind of like It was barely trickling out of there though, so I wasn't 100. I was wondering why, because I first started further down the yard, and I was wondering why it wasn't coming out like a ton right there. So I moved it closer, thinking, okay, now it's really gonna like shoot up out of there. We're really close to the valve, but it was still just kind of trickling out. But I think the reason why that is because all the way across the yard, it's also feeding this drip area. There's a little line busted, but I think that's the reason why it wasn't coming out like crazy there. I think there's a whole network of pipe from this side all the way over there. Anyways, a lot of talking. I don't know. I try to clean this video up a little bit.